I bought my first home 2 years ago, but a neighbor is so toxic that I truly regret living in this neighborhood. I would love your advice on how to handle this character. The neighbor guy keeps throwing lawn clipping trash onto my side of the property, about 3 to 5 feet. To search for a solution, I've asked him to keep the trash on his side. His reaction? He yells that immigrants like me should go back to their country. I grew up in the States, he said. A single woman should not be a homeowner if she can't take care of her yard. More on that below. He also claimed that bugs were coming to his house from my side, and when I questioned him, he yelled, "Woman, I a scientist. Don't you question Maine." FYI, he used to be a technician driver for Snap-on before he retired. Then he said he would come pump bug spray on my property for only $50. I declined his offer, and he swore that I am forever his one enemy. Yes, he is a cranky, boorish old man and proud of it. He constantly rails about my yard, although I have it professionally landscaped regularly. The problem is that this guy is retired, has nothing to do, and constantly oversteps his boundaries. I kid you not, he mows 4 to 5 times a week and spends hours manicuring his lawn so that he can have an excuse to flag people down, talk their ears off, ask their personal business, and circulate that gossip. Yes, people do avoid him, but I can't exactly do that since he's my neighbor. What worsens the situation is that his trash sits out on my side of the house for 2 weeks. The town trash trucks pick up the yard clippings every other Friday. As soon as this is picked up, within an hour, my neighbor is outside doing yard work again and gleefully depositing trash bags onto my property. When the multiple attempts at communication didn't work, I pushed the bags slightly to the edge of the property. The result is that the next morning, he starts yelling curses on my curb so that I can hear him inside my house. He also passes by my house at least several times a day on either his bicycle or car, staring hostilely if I happen to be outside. Since I felt harassed, I contacted the town. They said there is no town ordinance forbidding residents from throwing out the trash and leaving it there for several days to weeks. I wrote them a letter to consider making changes to the ordinance, but it falls on deaf ears of corrupt local politicians. Once the situation got so bad that I took multiple pics, filmed the neighbor's tirades, and called the cops on him. The cops just asked him to move the bags, but the next week, the neighbor was back to his tricks again. Now, whenever he sees me, he yells, "Call the cops. Call the effing cops." It is like a petty power play with this miserable guy. Besides this terrible neighbor, I like my house. I've lived in other states and neighbors love me because I am quiet, keep to myself, and am friendly by bringing them fruits or candies as random acts of kindness. However, this neighbor? Triple F. Due to the immense stress of having this neighbor, I want to sell the house and move away as quickly as possible, but I can't do that for at least several years until I save up more. What should be a dream come true of homeownership has become a needless source of stress. I am so upset that he subjugates me as a minority and female homeowner. His action of continually making his trash part of my property makes my blood boil. What can I do, if anything, to make him stop? Since he acts like a lunatic, is the only solution to ignore his harassment and wait for better days. Edit, there is already a low fence between my property and his. Changing to a different type of fencing would cost me several $1,000s. I didn't realize how expensive fencing is. Okay, so I posted about new neighbors, 5 kids, and social workers, which at some point got off the topic of the horrible situation of the noise and craziness to my not liking social workers. I went into the management office on Monday after sending multiple emails over the weekend. I also included videos from inside and outside of my apartment of running, screaming, crying, jumping, hitting the glass door, hitting the walls, and fighting. This has been occurring from 8 a.m. to around 2 a.m. daily since last Thursday. I was told they would call her and her workers to help get the noise to a livable level. It was great. The noise level stayed at about 4 and was mostly quiet by 11. We went to bed and all hell broke loose from 1 to 3 a.m. So she knows how to work with the kids and get things to a somewhat peaceful level. She just isn't. I went back to the office this morning around 10 begging for help. We haven't slept in 5 days. They said they were working on it and that 2 other neighbors also filed complaints. Went home and it was crazy up there, worse than ever. Banging on the glass, screaming, jumping off a wagon, you name it, we heard it. So I went up the stairs to video the sound, and what I heard was horrific. You can hear the kids screaming, but what was worse was you can hear her hit the kids with something 3 times and the kids scream and start crying. At one point you hear, wait, please, don't, and a whack. It is horrible. I went straight to the office and played it for management. The assistant started crying. They said they would call social services and report it. No one showed up today. This woman is a nasty disgrace to a parent. So escaping domestic violence and you do this to your kids? Sorry, but I have absolutely no empathy for her at all. Just going to have to wait and see what is going to happen. I was told to call the police tonight if it gets worse.